correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Welcome back to the How We Roll Gaming podcast. Nick, we've had a busy couple of weeks since we last recorded, haven't we?
Needless to say.
I mean, the whole How We Roll crew, GMs and players, minus Robert, who was moving and is still getting settled into his new place today, went to go see Superman over the weekend. Then a handful of us recorded our sister podcast, Casual Nerdity, about it. And now here we are back a couple of days later in front of the mics to record How We Roll. So I don't know about you. I haven't had much time for anything else. I still need to dive into Daggerheart. This week I did receive from my Kickstarter support Beetle and Grimm's D&D 5e supplement, Faster Purple Worm, Everybody Dies Volume 1.
Nice.
That is billed as 15 adventures that you'll never survive. So I'm looking forward to digging into that.
And to never letting me get a peek at.
I'll let you get a peek at it. I'll bring it over next time I head over.
But we agree that Robert can't ever look at it.
No. Robert kills people. So since we do have
in role-playing games. In role-playing games.
Yes. Only in role-playing games, not in real life.
Well, we haven't confirmed that yet, but right now it's just role-playing games.
Yes. So we will go ahead and get our business out of the way, since we do have a guest this time around to sit in Robert's spot. So this episode, we're going to highlight our friends Steve and Steve over at Me and Steve Talk RPGs again. And like us, they cover a variety of RPG topics, tips, tricks, some guests, all with a really casual vibe. Personally, I love their Game of the Week segment, usually spotlighting smaller or more obscure games.
Their most recent episode raised 200 episodes. To mark the occasion, Steve and Steve just kick back and chat about the 5-year journey they've been on. Check out Me and Steve Talk RPGs through your favorite podcatcher of choice.
Yes. So let's dive into our topic today, Nick.
Online games are becoming more and more prevalent, letting people from all over the world join in a game together, ignoring borders and having a blast together. Especially popular in most recent times. We've run some online games, mostly during the COVID times. And since then, we've had some hybrid games with some players in person and some online.
But, our experience is pretty limited. And since we're down a host, we're calling in a ringer. We've got Nate from the Tabletop Empire YouTube channel with us. And Nate is also the GM of the channel's actual play, Dark Underworld. Nate, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. Glad to be
glad
here.
to have
welcome.
You. Yeah. Now, ostensibly, we're going to be talking about running online games, and we're definitely starting off that way. But if the conversation rolls off the rails, so be it. But for starters, tell everybody a bit about Tabletop Empire and Dark Underworld.
Yeah, so Tabletop Empire is it's the YouTube channel to go to for Star Wars, the role-playing game by Edge Studios, formerly Fantasy Flight Games. We also sprinkle a little bit of Genesis content here and there too. Our primary focus this year has been our first actual play, Dark Underworld. We've premiered, 17 episodes now. So it seems to be going well. People seem to like it, which makes us happy because we put a lot of work into it.
I am digging it. I admit I am crazy far behind. I've been catching up on it while I work. Just today, I watched part 4, and I was having a blast listening to them pose as pirates in disguise. That was a lot of fun, and I know that we talked on a conversation sprung up with us on your Discord server about episode 3, about what we have since found that what that the official name for them is what underworld portals on
Underworld
Coruscant.
portals. Yeah, none of us knew the actual name of the big hole that ships fly down on Coruscant.
Yeah, the
So
underworld portals.
we just referred to it for the first like 8 episodes as the hole. And then one of our active Discord people commented on the video and said that it's called Underworld portals. And so we were able to
Yeah,
refer to him as
yeah.
that instead of the hole.
What
The
had me
whole
laughing about it is we ran into that same question in a campaign that I ran that was set on Coruscant, and I mentioned this on the Discord. We settled on burrows
Mm,
because it's a nice little pun, because it's kind of a homonym, because you burrow into the surface, but it also is like the boroughs of Manhattan.
yeah.
like
So like
I think
And
we,
then
during
you
that
go
I
further down the burrows, the more sketchier it gets.
yes,
yes.
and
Yeah.
we did we in that session I did find the term underworld portal and did mention it, but we kind of dug like the colloquial, they call it more like it's a colloquial term
Yeah,
for the
we stuck with
campaign.
burrows because we're kind of goofy that way.
We commit to the
If it was
bits.
a private game like that wasn't being broadcasted, we probably would have just stuck with the hole because it's kind of funny. But
Oh,
it's
the
also
whole
like
sounds hilarious.
being relatively like it's like semi family friendly. So like trying to get the whole has some implications that are funny,
Oh
but
no, it has implications to one of my favorite like s- obscure like British comedy skits about. Oh, and there's just the whole.
yeah.
Well, so fill me in a little bit, because obviously not everyone who is running a game online is going to be running a game for broadcast on YouTube.
Right.
So there's some different things that you're doing there to be broadcast ready, uh, understandably. But from what I understand too, from when we were talking at Gamer Nation Con, a decent amount of your gaming with your old gaming group, I know that you have a local group too, is also online.
Yeah.
And
So at the moment, I GM Dark Underworld every week. That's online. I play weekly with my local group online weekly, and then we play once a month in person. It works better that way because we all have multiple children or about to have multiple children, and so it's like okay, we get to play when the kids go to bed, kind of thing, and we all live kind of the farthest of us live 50 minutes away, so it's kind of hard to do that the weekly. So we meet like once a month over the weekend in person for like 4 or 5 hours. But I recently joined. So Noah, who's in our actual play, he plays a Wookiee named Ragro. He's GMing
right.
a game of Masks: A New Generation, which is under the Powered by the Apocalypse umbrella. Once a month that I'm playing in online, and then he also is going to be GMing a Daggerheart campaign that we've done
Oh,
session
nice.
0 for. Well, it took 2 sessions to get through session 0, but we've done session 0 for, and that one's also online. So I've been playing a good
Sweet.
chunk of online just because having small children means it's pretty much the only way I'm able to consistently be able to play. So
So let me tell you from firsthand experience, you're going to love when they start to get old enough to play themselves,
oh yeah, for sure.
because um, our son didn't come with us to Gamer Nation Con because he went the first year that we went. There wasn't really anything that he wanted to play. He went the second year that we went just to play Fallout, and the rest of the time he's like, "Nah, it'd be a waste of it would be a waste of the money. I just there's nothing I really want to play." Like, oh, you're boring. But
Yeah.
um, he was about 13ish, 12, 13, somewhere in there when I started playing in games at Nick's. And
Mm-hmm.
I brought him along one time because we didn't want to leave him at home alone. My wife was off doing something. I was like, "You're coming with me to this game." And his plan was he was going to sit in the corner, play
I
his
I remember you.
3DS.
I think that was the first time I met you.
That was the second or third time I was there.
Second or third, but you did message me beforehand and said like, "Is it okay to bring your kid?" And it's like, "Yeah, I'll set up a little corner for him."
And so he then
It was a comfy little
slowly,
corner.
as the game was going on, he kind of crept over more and more because he was getting interested in what was going on. And by the end of the session, he's like tossing ideas at us for dealing with situations and is just having a blast. So on our way out, Nick handed him a character sheet and is like, "You're welcome to come back next time. Just bring a character." And he's become one of Nick's strongest players in the 10 years since.
He's
Yeah.
actually finishing up a campaign this weekend. Be sure to
Yep.
remind him tonight that yes, we are finishing Whisper Base this Sunday.
Yes, Nick, I'll remind him. But what would you say,
Trust me-
Nate? I'm
trust
going
me,
to
I
throw
know
you.
him.
I'm going to throw you right in the deep end here. What would you say is the most important aspect to think of when you're running an online game?
Camera, webcam. Like it's like hands down 100% playing with a webcam on is the best jump in the experience from, like, if you take anything else, anything else away, it won't feel as drastic as taking away the webcam, because a lot of tabletop role playing is this collaborative experience with you and other players. And if you can't like read their facial, like the GM can't read their players' facial expressions, they don't know how engaged their players really are. It's a lot harder to realize how engaged their players are. If the players don't have webcams, then they can't, see how their other characters are reacting to like what they're actually saying.
Honestly,
And
that did contribute to a. We're not going to go into the events, but that I did always suspect that it contributed to an event that happened during our COVID games, where we had a couple disagreements that probably shouldn't have not been so strong. And I always suspected
Yeah,
it's the
because
fact that we didn't
we
because
did not have a cam requirement.
I will
but in
say
but
that
in
like
public,
disagreements
like
can still
we've
happen
never had.
with
Yeah,
cameras.
but they've
So
never been as strong, and we've had these players in public before, and never had disagreements like what happened in these. Again, not naming names or naming even campaigns, but there were some moments that I have reflected on, like the difference. I think was the lack of like being face to face.
I
Yeah.
was one of them.
yeah, because you can also read body language for like if somebody wants to speak up or not too. Whereas it's really, really easy to, for like
Again,
one or
it
two
was
players to like kind of take over the spotlight because they don't realize that other players maybe want to hop in. So I've had that happen before where I was playing in a game. This is another one that Noah was GMing actually, where there wasn't a webcam requirement, and nobody else was using the webcam besides me and Noah, so we were kind of like, whatever, we just won't use our webcams, I guess. But it was like two characters would just constantly talk and take over the spotlight, and like one would pitch in, like chime in before the other one, like when they were like on the tail end of their sentence, and so it was like there was never like a space to jump in and actually participate.
That is fair, and again, like at least I'll give credence to the fact that we were not equipped for that, nor we were planning for that to be long term. It was entirely condition based, and I feel
Yeah.
like that it probably similar experiences have happened to other DMs because there was a big uptick in people running online games during a certain event that we can't talk about because it might demonetize us.
We're not monetized yet, Nick.
We will be one day.
Yeah, I like there's a lot of aspects to playing a tabletop role playing game, but really like the most other things apply to in person games too. I mean, obviously, it helps when you know the people you're playing with versus playing with complete strangers, because that brings its own set of
That did help.
difficulties.
Like I don't think I could have run the games that I did, or continued the games that were ongoing at that point,
Mhm.
online without having known these guys and being able to like know them because again I predict and could see the same problems that you mentioned that yeah some voices may be stronger or again it's in we were imperfect and I but that's mainly because we never planned for that in the first place. So planning for that is probably a big portion of like whether you how you want if you know people that can help, but also as you said mentioned, at least the players have having having face cams if they're comfortable with that is probably a strong factor into making it work.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'll
we
even
do
say that
still
like,
have.
sorry, go
Oh
ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, I will even say that in even in like one or two of the games I'm playing in now, like there's one or two players that don't have webcams, so they're not able to use them. So it's not like it's absolutely required or anything. And if you actually know the people well enough, then it's not that big of a deal. But I would say like it's definitely helpful when at least most of the people are having that a somewhat of a face to face interaction. It's really easy for me, at least me personally, when there's no webcams, it's really easy for me to like get distracted by something and lose my train of thought and then be like, oh wait, I haven't been paying attention in like 15 minutes, what's going on, I'm completely lost. Whereas if I can like see the person I'm interacting with, like it's easy for me to engage and listen and be invested in what they're saying a bit more.
Yeah, I found online I don't engage as well, but again, we didn't have cams on, but I it's really easy for me to have that squirrel moment when I'm online. And we do still have one player. He was in our RPG Glory Stories episode, our last one,
Most
Brian,
recently, yeah.
who who still he does still play online. He's in one campaign that we currently have going. He still plays online because he's a college student. He's going to a relatively local college, but we don't expect him to make the hour drive down to Nick's house to join the game. We would love for him to be in person, but because we've played with him in person before, but we do have a webcam that when Brian is on, uh, we will plug the webcam in. He's on Discord. We've got the webcam that hits part of the group and the table, so
And
that
we adjust it
anything
for like
visual and dice rolls and stuff like that he can see.
if it's mostly like visual, we'll pan the camera up, and if it's mostly like we need like battle map, we put the table on there. We also have other players like take picture because we also have some that has helped with players who are either not feeling in the best way or just away from the ability to be there. So we are able to keep them in the games. Usually do prefer them in person, but if they can't make it but are able to attend, quote unquote, we do allow them to attend online, such as like not feeling well, or because I think your wife was injured one time and she couldn't come physically.
Right, because she could not get up the stairs at your house to the game room.
Yes, but she was there, able to attend, and we used the camera and microphone that we have
Yep.
to accommodate. And then that's another thing as well. That it's a accommodation tool for those that are unable to attend physically or are want to but can't make it for those reasons. So you don't have to cancel entirely. It is a way of keeping players involved even if they can't make it.
Right.
And another big question for online games, which is it's helpful if you do have webcams on. We all love the feel of those physical click clack rocks.
Yep.
Physical dice versus digital dice.
I think
Per
digital or
player
sorry.
preference or
I mean, physical dice is always more fun. If I'm playing online, I typically would just roll in whatever we're playing in because that's just easier. Though typically for like non-Dark Underworld games, we're recording people's dice rolls in RPG sessions. We're like, me and Noah are both kind of like, yeah, if you want to roll your dice in person at your desk, feel free. If you want to roll it online, feel free. Like, we don't really play with the kinds of people that would be like, oh, I rolled a 1, but I'm gonna say I rolled a 20 or whatever. Or I rolled 3 failures, but I'm gonna say I rolled a success. Like, it just doesn't really happen.
I'm getting nat 20s all day long.
Yeah.
I'd say
I don't know what it is.
During the time we were doing the online games, we were mostly doing the Star Wars game, and that came with its own unique challenge because it has a proprietary unique dice system.
Yeah.
So we had
Yeah,
we had access to a very well made integratable dice bot into Discord.
we were actually, well, Nick ran games, I ran games, and we each had our own separate servers. On mine, I was Frankensteining a standalone dice bot with RPG sessions.
Yeah.
And it was a whole weird Frankenstein assembly that I had going. I had both running on my server, and I was like, use whichever bot you prefer, whichever commands you remember easier for the dice. But I preferred sessions, destiny, and initiative tracking abilities over the other
100%.
dice bot.
Yeah.
And this was 5 years ago, whatever it was. And I know that Sessions has gotten better since then. We just haven't had much call to use it.
No.
Yeah.
But
it's really funny.
And go for it.
I discovered RPG sessions in, I want to say, early 2023. My Roll20 premium subscription ran out at the end of the year, and I was like, I don't want to pay $120 again, so I'm gonna look for a better VTT that's free or something like it. And so I went online to like see what the options were, and people were throwing out a bunch of stuff like Foundry, and a couple of people were saying RPG sessions. So I was like, I'm going to try RPG sessions. It seems like it's completely free as opposed to all the other ones. So I'm going to give that one a shot. And so I ran a one shot for some coworkers to try to figure out, at the same time I was figuring out RPG sessions. And I actually really, really, really liked the product. And so
I actually haven't tried RPG sessions. I might have to try that at some point.
It's so good. And then I about 3 or 4 weeks of using it with that group, the one shot turned into like a mini campaign. And I was actually like, I really, really enjoy this website. I think I'm gonna try to email them and see if they want to sponsor videos or something. But I was kind of looking at my channel. I was like, I still only have 2,000 subscribers. I'm gonna wait until I'm a little bit bigger. I think so. Till I don't want to reach out and then get rejected because the channel's not big enough. So I'm gonna wait till I have 5,000 to 10,000 subscribers and then email them. 3 weeks later,
did we mention our merch store yet?
3 weeks later, they emailed asking if they can sponsor some videos. So I was like, yeah, sure. So it was kind of both of our first experience with doing video sponsorship stuff. But so I try to say as much as possible in the videos that they do sponsor. I'm like, I'm they're sponsoring the video, but at the same time, I actually just really love this website and I want it to grow, and I think you guys will like it too, kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely the best way to roll Star Wars, in my opinion, and Genesis.
I need to dig back into playing around with it because we've been tossing around doing an actual play for how we roll. We're still trying to decide on the system, and partly we're leaning towards Star Wars because that's what we know the best, even though we cover everything. Well, everything that we like. If there's a game we don't like, forget about it. But
there's also a lot of great systems that we haven't played out that could be fun to explore in that.
Right. But it's one of those. Well, for the first one, Star Wars is what we know best.
It's our bread and butter.
It's our bread and butter. at the same time, we're like, okay, well, Nate's cool, and so we that's his space. So, um, but yeah, I definitely need to dig back into using it more
Yeah,
because
and
it,
I've never
just
looked into it.
watching the how much it's advanced from watching Dark Underworld versus when I was just kind of bashing around with it
Yeah.
during the dark times. It's like, oh wow, this has gotten so much better. It was good to start with, and this is so much better now. And you know, no, they don't have to. We are not sponsored by them. This is an actual genuine reaction. So
Mhm. I actually do have. I put out a full video a month or two ago, like pretty much a full explanation for how to set it up. So if you do decide to give it a try, you won't have to like fiddle around to learn it if you don't want to. I can. I do have a video that fully explains it.
I
Make it easy.
that one is still sitting in my to watch list.
Yeah.
It's still sitting in my to watch list. Um, as we've talked about just those two elements of it, those are, in hindsight, my brain is telling me, well, those are the two big elements for an online game. But
Yeah.
what else would you say someone would want to keep in mind if they're running an online game?
I would say spotlight awareness and player communication are kind of the other two big things. So one is being self-aware of how much time your character is spending in the main spotlight of the screen time, and kind of realizing that, okay, I've kind of been in the spotlight now for like 20, 30 minutes. Maybe it's okay if I don't respond to the next thing the GM throws out immediately and give it a minute, let other people have a chance to speak up, try something. And if nobody else has any ideas, then I can step back in and try to give an idea. But it's like just making sure you're giving enough room for everybody at the table to be able to step forward and say something. Because some people, I'll use our actual play for example, like Joe and Lacey, who play Keenan and Shay, they are very quick witted. Like they come up with stuff off the top of their head, whereas like me, Jeff, and Noah are all kind of people that it takes us a little bit of time to like figure out what we want to say or do. And so, but I think they do a really good job of making sure they're not like just taking the whole of the spotlight, but just being aware of that. And then the other thing is the player communication, because guess what? Like disagreements do happen in any game, typically, like in some capacity, and they can be major arguments or minor arguments. But ultimately, it's a collaborated story, and all the players kind of have to get on the same page with the story, so that way they can collaboratively tell the story. And so, just making sure you're communicating clearly and concisely and politely, and sometimes dropping the ego and realize that words are hard, but I don't think it's the idea across. But like it even happens
Yeah.
for Dark Underworld. Like there have been multiple times where we've had to pause and so like for example, Mott and Shay's the characters butt heads a lot. So there had to be a lot of moments where, like, out of game, where Joe has to say to Lacey or Lacey to Joe, we're like, hey, like, our characters may be mad at each other. I still love you. You're great. I care about you. I'm not mad at you. This is just like in game. Or there's other moments like where there's been episodes where the players have been like genuinely frustrated with each other over issues and stuff that we've had to talk about for 30 to 45 minutes, but it's still that, like, at the end of it, trying to find that solution that we can all agree on so everybody can still have fun at the table. I think a lot of GMs and players, again, they can kind of get the ego in their head a bit, and so it's just kind of like
Oh,
the,
I know
what,
about
like,
that.
take a step down, humble yourself, be flexible, and realize that it's not the GM story. It's not this player's not the main character of the story. It's everybody's story, and we're all having fun. So
And that's just in general great advice for Not to,
Yeah, that
something
and
that should
yeah, that
be
advice,
it could be reinforced to every game.
right, in
But it's
person
still
or
worth it's
online.
still worth it's still worth
Exactly.
repeating.
Yeah,
And honestly, that's something that I feel like I have no problem repeating in every time it comes up. It's like
yeah,
it's it's a collaborative telling, not a game of winners and losers. It is a you're working to create the best story, whether it's easy, hard, difficult, or not. It's the story that you guys are all creating together.
yeah. And those problems I've found they've come up more in virtual sessions, like online games. But that's not to say like they do still happen in person. It's just it's less frequent because I feel like in person it's easier for everybody to be on the same page. Um,
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
so
Nick alluded to it before. I'll throw myself under the bus. Um, that the communication is definitely key. That one campaign that it started in person, and you will appreciate this fresh torture that Nick was under. For session, he put out the post on Meetup for this game, and for session 0, 9 people showed up.
hmm,
And for a change, about half of those 9 were brand new people to the game, to the group, you name it.
yeah,
And so I had gone in kind of it. I wanted to play. I wanted to play Star Lord, basically. Without all of the fancy powers, but the doofus rogue smuggler guy. I
yeah,
even cast Chris Pratt as the character, right? Um, but one of the brand new players wanted to be a smuggler pilot. I was like, you got it. I'll go with, I want to say I went with Charmer under smuggler and let her have pilot. She never showed up after session 0. So, but we had already established that my character owned the ship, right? So I started, putting a little more into piloting to take over that role.
yeah,
After the first full in-person session, though, the world shut down, and so we were online, and there was just not sufficient communication between me and another player who also had the thought, well, our dedicated pilot left, so I will start stepping up into that role.
yeah,
And we just didn't communicate effectively, and it ultimately led to, I tried to handle it in character rather than just sitting down and saying, hey, I would like to do this. I tried to handle it in character by having things like, when he would sit down to pilot the ship, I would say stuff like, hey, you're getting kind of comfortable in my cockpit here.
yeah,
And it ultimately led to us butting heads over it in one session, and we had to call the session.
yeah,
So I'll throw myself under the bus. I was just as responsible for not communicating properly as the other player was. And it probably would not have been as bad in person. And if we had carried over our in-person communication process online,
yeah,
rather than just, having my mic off and saying, why isn't he letting me fly my ship?
yeah,
Should have just spoken up.
Again, it was
yeah,
So
mostly the fact
communication
that
is
we
key.
weren't communication is key, and again, I've I've re-examined that event multiple times. Not to throw anyone more under the bus. I totally haven't had nightmares about it, but it's like it's. But I do realize that the major problem was, yeah, we didn't expect it to run this long, so we didn't make long-term plans in order to make it sustainable. There was no like thoughts of like player conflict or anything. It's just like, well, we're stuck at home and we want to keep doing this.
Yeah.
So
Yep. So
honestly, it was kind of the ad hocness of it was the fact that we didn't even put into consideration that there are things that normally we'd be able to resolve in person on the cooldown, on the fall, during a pizza break or something like that, that you can't really resolve when you're sitting in rooms across from each other and muting mics when you're eating pizza.
muting mics and walking out of the room to go to the bathroom or get another snack, or
When you're not able
Yeah.
to
And one thing
pull
that
someone
helps
aside
there,
and be like honest.
yeah, I think one thing also that helps there is to have like designated bathroom breaks. So if somebody has to use the bathroom, it's like, hey guys, can we take a 5? Or like, okay, the GM says like, okay, hey, we've been playing for 2 hours. Let's take a break. Take 5, take 10. Go get water, snacks, bathroom, and then we all like reconvene.
yeah, and I think a lot of that would be helped too with a camera, for want of a better term, requirement.
Yeah, you can see when people
Because
aren't paying attention or walk away from their computer or whatnot. So
yeah, and during the dark times, who really wanted to put their camera on? Because everybody's sitting at home in their grubbies, in their PJs, whatever. I totally
Yeah,
get it.
like who
I
who would run a game in their pajamas?
Nick on a day that ends in Y. You see, you saw Nick out in public at Gamer Nation Con, Nate. The full Nick GMing experience is you roll up to his house and he answers the door in a robe and lets you in. And
I don't
we're
know if
not talking
I'd have to
wizard
see a
robe.
picture of Nick. Like I think there are a lot of people I didn't actually get to meet, like on a name basis or face to face. So there's a lot of people too. Like there was something like 130 people.
150-ish, yeah. So, or
Yeah,
yeah, max is 150 and they were a little under this
yeah.
year.
There were a lot of people. I'm sure I'd remember your face if I saw a picture. I don't think we got to officially meet. Unlike Daryl, who was kind enough to come and give us a ride from the airport.
Oh yeah, you did do that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did, and
At midnight.
it was rather entertaining because Nate flew into one terminal and Joe and Noah flew into another.
Yeah, you told that
And
story.
it's like, oh yeah, they're just over at this gate. And I was like, yeah, but which terminal?
We don't know. We've never been here before. Yeah.
It's like, because it's not a matter of walking from one building to another. We're going to have to drive a quarter of a mile.
I will say it's the most complicated airport I think I've ever been to. It's huge. Probably the biggest airport I've ever been to.
It is.
Maybe Orlando's is big, but Orlando's isn't as complicated.
Orlando's isn't as complicated. Well, so I hate Orlando's airport and I hate DFW. So I hate them both equally for different reasons. My work travel has taken me either connecting to or twice going to Orlando. So
I will say, like, the Philly airport was a little dirty and dingy, but they had some really good food in the airport.
I know I've been there twice and I cannot picture the airport. They all run together at one point, but if you ever have to go through Chicago,
I have been to Chicago actually.
So there, granted, as huge as the airport is, there's only one location of it. Get yourself some Garrett's popcorn if you're close enough to Garrett's.
Yeah. Noah, who again he's in our actual play. So he's my best friend, and so he lived in the Chicago area for a while before moving to where we were prior to me moving to Florida. So every year I would either fly to Chicago or he would like drive down. So we'd at least get like one a week in person to hang out a year kind of thing. But so I've been to the Chicago airport 2 or 3 times, I think.
So you guys did the Sam Witwer and his old Star Wars group thing.
Yeah.
We got off on a tangent about airports last one. Palm Springs Airport is beautiful. It's small, but the weather there is so good year round that you're outdoors going from the concourse to ticketing and baggage claim.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
I've been
The
there a
first time
couple times. Yeah,
the first time I went for work, and I'm with a couple of coworkers. We come out of the gate and we're going down an escalator to go to baggage claim, and I looked around and I was like, Caesar, we're outside. And it's like, I'm so easily impressed sometimes, but it's beautiful. Beautiful. Anything else that you can think of while we are still ostensibly on topic before we just let you plug away in the last few minutes before your hard stop?
Yeah. Let's see.
Heart,
Staying on topic.
did you take heart stop?
Not letting a joke turn into a 10-minute tangent in the middle of a game. that's a pretty big one, I think. It can really disrupt the flow of the playing when you like.
You hush, Nick. You know you love it when we go off on.
Oh, I do.
When we take something and go off like crazy.
Let me be clear. There's nothing wrong with making a joke or cutting up and laughing, because we're all here to have fun. But when that joke turns into a major distraction,
wrapping it in is like wrangling it back in. I do love it, and I do participate actively in that. But I do also really like, okay, I need to pull back.
I used to be the player the GM that would create the tangents that would go way off. But the more I play tabletop RPGs and the more experience I have with them, the more they've actually become kind of a table pet peeve. So
I can understand that.
Yeah.
But I don't think I can. My solution to it is probably is not the same solution that you would have. No, I don't think
Nick's solution.
Yes,
Nick's
Daryl.
solution is he refills his what he calls Vaderade. Gatorade and vodka.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think my solution is okay, it's been 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, guys, let's rein it back in, and I don't necessarily stop it from happening, but it's again the communication thing, especially section 0 with expectations and stuff. It's going over, okay, is there anything that people have pet peeves or issues with? And typically one of the things they'll say is the ongoing major distractions that take away from more than a couple of seconds, because it's really for me, I get really invested into the story and I want to see the story progress, and it's okay, we only get to play 2 hours a week. I don't want to waste the time on a 10-minute joke. I don't want to waste 8% of our time on one joke that's going on for a really long time. But
you don't want a bit to become a sketch,
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a limit, and
Nick, you hush. Nick, you hush. You like our sketches.
I do.
Honestly, a majority of the jokes that come up in my local game is Star Wars Family Guy references. A lot of them. So
with us, it depends on what the game is, and I will give all of our group credit in that we all have the ability to flip the switch, and based on the tone of the campaign, we don't necessarily, we'll drop a joke here and there, maybe a little bit, but not go into the sketches like Alien and Walking Dead. Forget it.
Yeah.
No bits, no sketches, because they're deadly serious.
There's maybe a joke.
Yeah. And again, I don't have problems with jokes.
And it's usually
we're all here to have fun and laugh.
And most of those are in character rather than out of character. And even then, they're meant to break the tension in the scene,
And-
not because it break the tension at the table.
And Delta Green has a lot of character-driven gallows humor.
Yeah.
I think the closest thing we've had to a bit is my character in Delta Green is a horror and science fiction writer. And Nick faced me with this guy that when we went into a bookstore looking for something, who ran the bookstore by stapling the price tags to the front covers of the books. And in character, I couldn't stand that. And Nick kept poking me with these stapled price stickers.
That was fun, but it's also like showing that things are weird in the bookstores, and it's like that was the intention. It's real, and it also allowed me to pull on a real pet peeve.
Yeah.
Yeah. And personal, out of character, I would hate a bookstore that did that.
Same here. Like if I was completely
That's just
on
pure
board.
evil.
That's kind of why it was kind of fun. It was supposed to be only just a couple of books, but the more that I saw the pet peeve affect you, it's like, okay, that's adding to this real horror of the situation, of a realistic, like, nonsensical desecration to books. It's like, okay, that's fun to play with.
If it gives you any indication how much my character hated it, Nick, he tried to go back to buy the bookstore, but since it's Delta Green, the bookstore wasn't there.
Oh, I was there. I made sure that the bookstore wasn't there, and that's why you were so perturbed.
My character was so perturbed that he's opening a combination. It's set in the 90s, so Barnes and Noble with a Starbucks isn't a super big thing yet, but think that concept, but instead of a Starbucks, it's a high-end bar. And that's what he's going to open up in one of these next few sessions. Because the character, straight up, the character is kind of a ripoff of Rick Castle, off of Castle, Nathan Fillion's character. So when Castle bought the old haunt, I'm combining the old haunt with a bookstore.
He's also kind of Stephen King and other horror writers, but the idea is like he based it with the Castle background. Like he based these stories off of stuff that he's researched and found. So he stumbled upon the unnatural world of Lovecraftian horrors.
And so Delta Green recruited him.
Because it's like, well, he knows too much, but now that helps with the cover up.
All right, I know you have to go because you have Dark Underworld.
Yes.
Yeah, so back when we were talking about players having disagreements. So we normally record on Tuesday nights, and we got halfway through. If you guys watch this podcast episode, you get a little behind the scenes. Episode 19 is going to be split in half over 2 days, 2 nights worth of recording, because we had a 2-hour long discussion about a player, about a character, specifically a character's disagreement, and trying to figure out like, okay, how do we move forward from here? Because we're kind of at like so it happens. This is probably by far the biggest kind of like disagreement where things were kind of feeling tense. And so I, normally, for the Act 2, you haven't really been able to see me calling for a break because Simon just kind of cuts it out and we continue on. But I was like, okay, I was going to take 5 for bathroom and drinks and all that fun stuff. But real quick, like, is everybody good? And then turn into a 2-hour long discussion. So we're finishing it tonight. So I think we come to a really cool solution, and I'm excited for anybody that watches.
Well, if you can't figure out, I have a solution that you could use. It's called Pistols at Dawn.
Yeah, we figured it out, so it'll be good. I'm actually really excited for how it's gonna turn out. So,
well, now I really need to get caught up. I know I mentioned it at the top of the show, but where can they find Dark Underworld, Nate?
This is
Yeah,
true.
we are. I'm primarily on YouTube, so youtube.com/ at the Tabletop Empire. That's kind of the main platform. I do videos for like how to learn Star Wars, how to play Star Wars RPG, as well as we have the actual play that's going on currently. And we do weeklies unless we're on breaks for episodes. If you like short form content, I recently started posting to like TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. But yeah, that's where you can find us, and you can find me
Yeah.
on.
So-
No, you can find me specifically mainly on Twitter, but I don't really use personal social media very often at all. So
But
yeah.
we'll have
Well,
a link. We'll have a link to your to relevant socials underneath this week's episode.
Nick stole what I was about to say.
Oh,
Well, we will let you go, Nate, and say hi to the crew for us, and
Will
we
do.
thank you for coming in and being a ringer who has more experience than us with running an online game.
thank you
Yeah,
very
happy to be
much.
here.
And
Thanks
don't
for having
forget
me on.
about my advice. If things don't go right with the group, Pistols of Dawn always works.
And we definitely have to have you back sometime and just generally chit chat.
Oh, for
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Especially with Robert. We would love to pick your brain and maybe even have you for one of our brainstorming fun ideas for making RPG characters.
Yeah.
Or
Sounds like fun.
or we might I might tap you to bring an RPG glory story sometime.
Oh, that's
If you guys
true,
need
too.
the funniest, I came up with the funniest idea for a monster. It doesn't work in Star Wars, but like if you have somewhat real animals, the funniest idea for a monster in an RPG game is a giraffe, but it's a Hydra.
Oh,
And it just
Oh.
whacks people with its neck. So take that as
Oh.
you will.
so
I like it.
so I have the two books from the Kickstarter years ago for Adventures in Oz, and that would fit right in
That
Adventures
really
in Oz.
would.
I'm gonna write that on a note card and put it in one of the Adventures in Oz books.
Also, just in general, that sounds like fun because if you ever seen a giraffe fight, it is both the most harrowing and silliest thing you've ever seen. With they're just whacking their necks at each other. It's harrowing because it's like, oh, that's gonna hurt really bad, but also it's like, yeah, that's all they have to use to fight.
Well, we will let you go because we know
Sounds
that your
good.
players are waiting for you. So thanks
All
for
good.
coming, Nate, and
thanks
we
for
will
having
see
me.
you next time.
See you next time.
Yeah, bye.
Nate's an awesome guy. I knew when I was talking to him and Joe and Noah on the way back from the airport that like these are our people.
Gotta agree. Like, really, really cool. And I did remember I've subscribed to them and watched a couple episodes, but I could definitely, like you said, catch up with what they're doing on their live
Dark
play.
Underworld.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And here's another way that I knew that they were our people, Nick. We're in the car on the way to the hotel from the airport for Gamer Nation Con. And Nate and Joe and Noah are in the car. And Noah said, so I was making my way, and Nate goes, downtown, walking fast, faces past, homebound. I was like, now that is our joke.
That's ours. That's we've run that joke into the ground.
Yes. So we all had a very good laugh about
Yeah.
that. So I was like, yeah, we are vibing here. We are vibing. But he
great
had
advice.
some very good thoughts.
Again, like
Yeah.
we mentioned our. I would not say that they were a failure. The dark time games, as I called them, when I made the
They weren't
Discord server.
failures. They weren't failures. We were just, we were
just
thrust into a situation and making the best with the tools that we had without really sitting down and observing the tools that we had and figuring out the best way to utilize them.
Exactly. Like lessons have been learned from there, and we've taken some of those lessons and made it more accessible to people who can't make it to the regular sessions. But
Yeah,
it was good to
if
hear
we had
from if we had to, like, we probably would have learned and probably gained certain skills like he mentioned if were still forced into that situation.
right, if we were playing regular online games, I think we would have a lot more structure to how we were running them
Yeah.
online. And it like I was kind of saying, it doesn't hurt that in addition to running regular games online, he's also had to figure out how to effectively run a game online for broadcast.
That too. And that's
So,
something where as we are toying with in the future potentially.
yep,
But in general, like,
I have thoughts on that. We'll talk offline.
yeah, but mainly running online is something that's becoming much more popular and much more accessible for people with lots of different softwares, different virtual tabletops and concepts. It's it hasn't replaced traditional tabletop in-person gameplay, but it has definitely become a way for people to at least meet if they're not quite comfortable.
Exactly. Exactly. And, you know, more and more people are playing online because they can. It can be hard to, especially depending on where you might be, to find a local group, period, let alone one that can meet regularly. We are exceedingly lucky in that the
We have a
majority of our group is able to meet every
Yeah,
week.
and I'll even admit, like, one of my earliest groups I ever ran long term was a online group when things were less stable. Like we had to use a virtual tabletop and a with a dice roller and a separate voice chat, and we had to play at different time with people in different time zones because we the just the infrastructure wasn't there for us to like meet up with people locally, even on the same continent. Like one was in Europe and one was in England.
England is in Europe.
I meant like continental Europe.
I just have to give you a hard time, Nick, because
Oh yeah,
since it's only the two of us,
you got to
who
start.
else is
It.
going to tease you as we head into the end of the episode?
We got to keep the bit going.
Yep, I mean we've established the bit. The bit's got to keep going. But yeah, like Nate was saying, definitely for Genesis or Star Wars RPG games, take a look at RPG sessions. We're not sponsored by them. Nate may be, we're not, but they are an incredible tool that is designed specifically for that narrative dice system that Star Wars and Genesis both use. So definitely take a look at them. Like I said, I have some thoughts. We'll talk offline
Hmm.
here before too awful long. Um, but I think that's kind of taking us into the closing of the
Close.
show.
But yeah,
So
check out our
check out
website. Oh, that's you.
that's me, but check out our website at howwerollgaming.com, and there you'll find information about our current campaigns, podcast archive, and links to our merch store and all of our social media, Facebook, Blue Sky, Threads, you name it. We are probably there in some form or capacity.
You can also directly support the show through Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/howwerollgaming and you'll see our different membership tiers starting at just $2 a month with special recognition on our Discord server and higher tiers giving you on-air credit and discounts on our merch store. Finally, if you have any questions you'd like us to answer, topics you'd like us to cover, or even submit your own RPG glory story, shoot us an email at podcast@howwerollgaming.com.
And that brings us to the end of another episode. We thank you for joining us, and we want to thank Nate once again for joining us from Tabletop Empire. Check them out. Check out Dark Underworld, their actual play. And we hope to see you back next time. Until then, I'm Daryl,
I'm Nick.
and this is How We Roll.